Alright, sorry about that. I did end up pausing this so I could go and make some changes. So now I think they've appeared on the screen. I just altered the workbook that I already had. And so basically, all of these to show since inception, what they started at, where they're at, and the total amount dividends paid. And Misty's just a different color because I hand typed that one in there. All the rest of them come from my spreadsheet, and I just didn't add a line for Misty here. So, and then if you look over here, this is just comparing. This is percentage wise, of course, and like I said, I built this for a different purpose, but I think I started it for this purpose and then I changed it and I've made it something totally different that I've still yet to share. But so you can see here whether the price, whether it's gone up or down, and that would include the dividends for the underlying there. I mean, for the ETF in this column. And then in this column, of course, is the underlined. So, it's AI or AMD or Amazon and so on. And then we have the NASDAQ, S&P, and the Russell. It is basically saying who did better over that time frame. Of course, not everybody's looking for, who's doing better, who's got better capital or whatever. Everybody's looking at these for different reasons. But I'm just using this because I already had it. But you can look and see that AIYY, the ETF, is down 15% since inception, and the underlying AI is down 14%. So those are close. And if you look at, AMDY and, hold on. So that means we're missing one because that one should not be there. So I'm missing a ticker. Well, it's not telling me. Okay, I verified they are all there. Oh, I'm going to zoom back out. Alright, so if we're looking here, back to this, AMD, AMZ have outperformed, AMD and Amazon have outperformed the ETF along with the indexes there. But we can see for Apple, if we look at this, Apple has done better than Apple has, and I'm guessing that's because of the recent downturn it's taken. Of course, if you look at the NASDAQ and S&P and even the Russell, those have all outperformed Apple and Apple. And then if we look at Coney, obviously Coney has done more than 2 times better. I mean, Coin has done more than 2 times better than Coney has. But both of them have done better than the NASDAQ, than the indexes. For Dizzo, let's see, Disney's done better than the ETF. Disney's done better than Dizzo, the ETF, and then the indexes have lagged. Phoebe, the underlying is done better at 67%, the ETF's at 41%, and then the indexes are a lot lower. Now, GUI, the underlines went in was 17%, but GUI is negative 3%, so it's actually the worst out of the five, out of the indexes here and the underlying. JPMO, the underline's at 36%, the ETF's at 17%, but so does it show the NASDAQ as well, with the other two lagging. Murni, so Moderna, the underlying here, 31%, and then it looks like 23% for the ETF, S&P, and Russell, and then the NASDAQ being 24%. But so that's actually pretty good if the ETF is in line with the indexes. MSFO. So let's see. MSFO, the underline's 32%, while the ETF is 30%. the color code's probably messed up there, I'm assuming, because I'm trying to figure out, possibly added with the one below it. Yeah, because I just added Misty, so that makes sense. So those two lines are being color coded together. Sorry about that, I didn't notice that. Let me see if I can, nope, I just wanted to fill in one. So undo, I wanted to fill in, there we go, for some reason, the whole thing. Alright, that way I'll remember to look at that. But obviously, if we look, well, I guess not obviously, but look at Misty. It shows that ETF is up 89%. Alright, that's what I get for trying to quickly do something. I copied MSFO to make Misty, and when I did that, I didn't change everything. Well, look at that. Alright. So I fixed the color code, and then I fixed this because it had MSFT as the underline versus MSTR. So as you can see here, MicroStrategy is up 110%, while the Misty's up 89%. And of course, the indexes are only 2 to 3% because we're just talking about maybe the last 3 weeks, and of course, the indexes have tanked this week some. If we look at Netflix, it's up 44% since Netflix's inception, or Netflix, the underline, is up 44%, and Netflix, the ETF, is up 22%, and both of those have done better than the indexes. I do apologize if I've said one of these wrong, but I'm reading the underlying column, and then I'm reading the ETF on the side, but I'm meaning to say the underline. So on the next one for NVIDIA, for the underline, it's up 205%, while NVIDIA, the ETF, is up 94%. Of course, both have done better than the indexes. OARC, looks like it would have been better to do the NASDAQ for this one. But, the underlying still is second out of all of those, but the ETF itself is down the most. But I guess it is better than a negative there, because we have a few of these that have been negative since inception. And then if we look at PayPay, the underlying is only up 12%. The ETF is right behind it at 11%, but the indexes, all of them have done better. Alright, if we go to SQUE, the underlying, which is block, is up 67%, and the ETF is up 43%, which is still, both of them are still better than the NASDAQ, or the indexes here, but obviously the underlying is better. Tesla is down 5%, which is crazy because Tesla's inception was a year and a half ago, so that means Tesla is worth less now than it was a year and a half ago. But yeah, so Tesla itself is down 34%. Of course, the NASDAQ is up 45%. And then if we look at Zomo, the indexes have done better, or most of them. The underlying is up 9%, while Zomo is up 2%. But remember, this data is as of the inception date of the ETF, right? So in order to compare it, be able to compare it, all of these dates, all of the data used here is as of that same exact inception date. Of course, we can always do the same thing and just do it by 2 month if you wanted something like this. And like I said, I didn't even show this last time. So if you like seeing this since inception, or if you prefer to see it, just the last month or whatever, y'all just let me know, and then I can change this up a little bit and move this to the other workbook so I'll have it for the monthly reviews. Alright, So I think I've paused this video more than any other video I've ever made. But because I know I have this stuff, right? And it's just a matter of taking a few minutes to do something. Again, I just need y'all to tell me, though, for sure, if y'all like these or not, to know whether I show them again or clean them up for future use. But again, this one was inception of all of these. This one right here, I did it for the dates from ex-dividend date to ex-dividend date. So, again, it has the same data. The difference is it's just not from inception, and it's from the ex-dividend dates. So if I just pull it over here so you could see what we were looking at before, we can see here that in the last month, wow, both AIYY and AMDY, both of those have done really bad in this past month. What is it? From March 6th to April 4th. But, so in this case, because those did go down so bad, the ETFs actually did better. Of course, the indexes did better than both of them. And if we look at Amazon and AMZ, the ETF did better by 1%, while the underlying was at 3%. And Apple did better. The ETF did better than the underlying by 1%. And Coney did better than the underlying. So in those first 5, the ETFs did better than the underlying. Now, of course, we'll get into the ones where the underlying did better. So Dizzo, Phoebe, GUI, JPMO, and Murney. And then it looks like MSFO, they were both 4%, but it looks like looking at the color, MSFO did slightly better. And then Misty did better. It was at 52%, while the underlying was at 42%. Nestle, 6%, underlying 2%. And then we get into NVIDIA, both of them look like they're around negative 2%, but it looks like the ETF did do better. However, if we look at the we look at the indexes, they did better overall. Let's say PayPal did better by 1% versus the ETF. And for Squee, it did better than Block by roughly 5%. In fact, it did better than the indexes also. And then, of course, Tesla, the ETF actually did better than Tesla, the underlying. Of course, indexes are better. And then Zomo here, so the underlying Exxon was better than the ETF. I know I didn't mention the indexes on all of them, but you can see here who won out. And just looking over on the right, it looks like a third of it was the underlying, a third was the ETF, and a third was the S&P. So, yeah, and of course in these columns they're all going to be the same percentage because we're looking at a very specific time frame versus different start dates and stuff all over the place. But anyway, let me know what y'all think. Hopefully you made it this far, and if you did, hopefully what you saw at the end was worth staying on this long for. I don't know how long the video's been since I've probably paused it 5 or so times here. Now, I will say there had been a lot of questions this past month, and I started to say stuff, but I didn't, and I wondered if maybe y'all would want to see something like this video that I've done, maybe bi-monthly, or is monthly, good enough, or is there some data within this video that you would like to see during the weekly video? It doesn't matter. Y'all just let me know because, I'm here. I'm just trying to provide data and things that y'all would like to see. I have lots of data out here, lots of things built. I just don't always show all of it. And then, of course, I can always build things, even though it may take me a little bit of time. But I do want to make sure that what I'm showing you is worth your while. But anyway, I hope y'all have a great weekend. If I can, in the morning, get up and not be so sick, it looks like I might be going to drill. We'll see how it goes. I almost didn't make it through this video with my voice, but anyway, y'all have a great weekend.